Hello and welcome to Boomer Live. We are back again to talk regarding cricket. Yeah, of course, after IPL, we just took a short break in terms of coming live, but then we were, of course, updating you people with the podcast and space of what we were doing in Twitter. Of course, we had to be active on football side because there are a lot of football games going across the globe in terms of Nations League, the Finalisma, which took place a week earlier. And of course, we are back to entertain you people with a lot of cricket news because there's a series which is happening in England between New Zealand and England, series which is happening in Sri Lanka between Australia and Sri Lanka. And of course, tomorrow onwards, India starts their home season versus South Africa. A lot has happened, and an Indian team as well. Rishabh Pant is the newly appointed Indian captain as well after KL Rahul has been ruled out of the series. Welcome, Sandipani, on the show. How excited are you to be back?
Yeah, I'm really excited. I actually missed it in the last couple of days, but definitely after having come live for say almost close to 2 months, we all actually deserved a small break.
Yeah,
But really exciting stuff coming. Three very intense series going on. Not so much the Sri Lanka versus Australia one. I think Australia are sort of getting the upper hand over Sri Lanka on that one.
yeah,
Other than that, I think the India versus South Africa is going to be a very exciting one starting from tomorrow, especially because South Africa are playing a full fledged team, and India will be sort of trying out their reserve players, and it will be a very important series for uh, s- the reserve players that are going to play, that are going to sit down in the not be able to play in the World Cups there,
yeah.
but be a part of the squad. I think it is going to be a very important series for India. Some for batters like Shreyas Iyer, Dinesh Karthik. This will be one, and somebody like a Rituraj Gaikwad, Ishan Kishan as backup openers. I think this will
Absolutely.
be a big opportunity to stamp their authority. I think there is a slight issue with your mic. I think the audio is not that great.
Yeah,
So
I mean, am I audible right now?
yeah, you're audible, but it's not the volume is not really high.
Okay, maybe I just need to pull it a little closer. Maybe, is it okay now?
Yeah, it's okay. I think it's audible. So yeah, I
Yeah.
think having talked about that, I think we were able to witness one of the more exciting test matches at Lords
Yeah.
between New Zealand and England. I think it was a great
Absolutely. Let's let's
contest.
let's go to the test match first before we talk about India or South Africa, because we did an entire podcast on what could be England's test cricket and what could be their future with Brennan McCullum at the helm and alongside Ben Stokes, because both are those fiery characters, right? They believe in going out all out for the victory. They don't play for draws. You know that just doesn't come to them. And for Brendan McCullum, it's basically live by the sword and die by the sword. That is the motto which he follows. And even recently, he made a statement which is very similar to that particular statement which I just made. And what did you just make of that victory? Because more often than not, 69 for 4, chasing 260, you wouldn't give England a chance. But then Joe Root once again stepping up. And now there's no burden of captaincy as well. He's playing a lot more freer role. He's playing a lot more freely, I would say, in terms of his shot making, in terms of the way in which he's been approaching his game. And also, you could feel that, he's not feeling that burn of pressure now that everything's taken off him. All the eyes are on Ben Stokes. And let's also give credit to bringing in Matthew Potts from Durham. We did discuss about him slightly, in our podcast as well when when they were taking the team selection. What a revelation he has been in the first Test match, picking up 7 wickets, picking up 4 in the first and 3 in the second. What did you make of England's Test match at large?
I think all in all, I think it was a very successful start to Brendan McCullum's reign, as well as Ben Stokes' reign as captain and coach and captain respectively. I think especially, I think yeah, definitely Joe Root played one of the best innings in his Test career, because chasing 270 on that deck where they were finding where 17 wickets fell off in the first day, uh, it was really tough, especially on the fourth innings. And having said that, I think the reprieve that Ben Stokes got, I think he was out of a no ball when he
Yeah,
was on duck. I think that was sort of the start of the shift of the momentum. Uh, and it's been that sort of a test match for New Zealand. They started off very poorly. They lost a lot of wickets. I think that had got to do with more with James Anderson and somebody like a Potts, Stuart Broad coming in after that break.
yeah.
I think it's really good to see somebody like a James Anderson and Stuart Broad, Tim Southey. Trent Bolt do well in this sort of conditions, and somebody like a Potts, and not just Potts. I think England in the last couple of years they have brought in some brilliant pacers. Talk about somebody like a
I'm
Robertson.
more impressed with the way how Matthew Potts ball, because we all know about the caliber which James Anderson possesses, the Stuart Broad possesses, Tim Southey especially has got a terrific record against England, and also Trent Bolt as well. And even if you talk about Lord's Cricket Ground, the occasion, the way in which he was making the debut against an England team who's depleted, especially when it comes to Test format, him just seizing that opportunity under Ben Stokes, that was for me the story of the match.
And
Matthew
I think
Potts is a
if
terrific
I'm
find.
like Potts sort of resembles a little bit of Liam Plunkett, the way he
Yeah.
used to come in and get those bounces. And I think he had been a brilliant wicket taker for them in the middle overs in the shorter format of the game, and even in
Yeah.
the test matches when he got his stint way back in 2007, 2008, 9, 10. I think he did a
But
good
I
job
think
for.
Matthew Potts, that X factor, what he brings is extra pace. I reckon he's at least 10 yards quicker than Liam Plunkett. But not just that. Another thing is he's so calm, especially when he runs into the crease. He was not at all shackled by the occasion, which was his Test debut, of course, and he was playing against a top quality New Zealand setup. And New Zealand against England in England has always had a better record against England, isn't it? In the last couple of
Yeah,
years, they've come to England and dominated England, and they are a good New Zealand side, which is really toward England this time. They've got Devon Conway, they've got likes of Tom Latham, Kane Williamson. So there are some big names as well, Daryl Mitchell.
yeah.
So it is not easy to play against the World Test champions. They are World Test champions for a reason, because they've been dominating Test cricket for a very long period of time as well. And for Matthew Potts to run in and actually shackle those batsmen, run in, and he made sure that the batsmen were really, really, really shackled, because he was testing them with pace and also with swing. And I saw a little bit of him before he made his debut in county cricket, because especially this season he was making a lot of noise, especially with his pace. And also we heard that he was very close to making his debut. But uh, just to do that and transform it to international cricket, credit to Rob Key, Brendan McCullum, and Ben Stokes, for bringing this guy in. Now they know that they've got another X factor pace bowler in him. If they can really invest in this guy, make sure he's injury free, I'm pretty sure he's got a long Test career ahead of him. That's pretty much it from the English match. Maybe we can touch upon
I
what can
think
possibly
also we
New
should
Zealand do as
give a
well.
special mention to somebody like a Daryl Mitchell, because
Yeah,
at the start I think he wouldn't have got this game if Henry Nichols would have been fit. To have
yeah,
come in and played that innings along with Blundell, I think
yeah,
that sort of shifted the momentum completely in New Zealand's favor. It was
yeah.
only that Stuart Broad spell early on in the third day where he came back, and New Zealand lost 6 wickets for some 40-50 runs.
Right.
That sort of gave England some hope. Otherwise,
But you
I
know
just
what?
thought.
I really thought even 260, anything about 250 would have been par. And it was above par in Lord's Cricket Ground, because it's one of the toughest grounds to chase, because you know what it does on a fourth day or fifth day wicket. And that's one of the reasons why in Lord's, in fourth innings, only three players have got hundreds. One is Nasser Hussain, one is Gordon Greenwich, and now it's Joe Root. So fourth innings 100 in Lord's is very special. And that's something which is just exemplary from Joe Root, to go out there and score 100 and take his team home. Whatever you say, it's their home ground. It is just served on the platter for them. New Zealand had few tactical flaws which didn't go their way as well, but just to score that fourth innings 100 when the team was 69 for 4, and to take the team home, it was just an exemplary effort from Joe Root,
And
and
I
that's where I
think
felt
on the way
it
as
was a
well,
top
he
notch.
reached an incredible landmark to be
Yes,
the joint youngest to reach the 10,000 runs figure. And if you talk about Joe Root, at one point, just before 2021 started, I think people were sort of talking about him not being that up to the mark with,
right.
say, somebody like Virat Kohli, Kane Williamson, and Steven Smith. There were
I was
talks
going
that.
to interesting stat there. At the start of 2021 January, Joe Root had 1700s, and Kane Williamson had 2400s, Steven Smith had 2700s, and Virat Kohli had 2700s. Right now, Kane Williamson have 24, Joe Root has 24, Kane Williamson and Steven Smith and Virat Kohli are still stuck on 27. So he has
Yeah.
actually come in power with them, and the Fab Four races well and pretty much on. And he could well on be on the course to break Sachin Tendulkar's record as well now, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely, because we all thought that Alistair Cook, with the time that he had, he would eventually go on and score more runs than what Sachin Tendulkar had scored. But having said that, fitness plays a very important role, and we have seen that Joe
Right.
Root is one of the fittest players around. He scarcely he misses a game for England in the longest format of the game. And having said that, and I think he has been consistent throughout. That is something that you expect from someone who has to go on to become the leading run scorer in a particular format. I think he has the potential, but it will be interesting to see once again when this purple patch sort of comes to an end. It will be interesting to see how he gets back to the game once he sort of starts to get another string of low scores. I think
Right.
if he uh, tackle that, something which Alistair Cook was not able to do. He was not getting runs for
Hmm.
the last 2 years of his playing international career, and eventually he called it quits. But I personally believe that
Cricket is a very
there was,
funny game because you even
yeah,
saw
yeah.
Virat Kohli. We expected him to be at least 40 hundreds in Test cricket by now in the last couple of years. With the rate at
We
which he was
expected
going,
Virat Kohli to be close to Sachin's hundred figure of
and yeah,
hundreds
in
by now.
2022, there were projections that in 2022 he'll be crossing the 100th 100. But then cricket is a funny game. There's been a huge halt on his 100. People are still waiting for that 71st 100. So you never know what could really take place in cricket, and that's why you say cricket is a very funny game, and anything can happen to any player at any given stage. Look at Steven Smith, for example. He's not really scored 100 since 2021 as well. So it's breaks for him as well. I reckon his last 100 came against India in Sydney, and after that he's never scored 100 as well. There's been clear breaks on his hundreds as well. He's
Yeah,
been scored in the
another
70s and
thing that I
80s.
wanted to point out from the New Zealand England game is why Devon Conway was shifted to number four. I
Yes.
really did not understand that ploy. I mean, okay, they are trying to fit in a good opener along with Tom Latham to pave the way for them, and they are giving him the opportunity. But I felt that Devon Conway, especially because right around this time last year when New
Yeah.
Zealand toured England for those two Test matches, Devon Conway scored centuries in both of the games, and
Right.
even if
Yeah,
not
he
in
scored
both the
century in
games.
both of the games. Absolutely
Yeah,
correct.
yeah,
It's for
yeah.
a
He
double
scored
hundred as well.
centuries in both the games as an opener,
Yeah.
playing his first game in England. I think he was definitely meant to be a opener and not a
Yeah.
number four batter, according to me. And
I
I
mean,
think
absolutely.
Stuart Broad just
I
had the
know, as
better
I
of him.
mentioned, there were
No,
some
sorry, Potts
tactical
just had the
calls.
better of him.
I mean, there were some tactical calls which really baffle me as well because if you look at New Zealand, they are a well-oiled machine and they're a well-oiled unit because of the very fact that they don't tinker a lot. The replacements, whoever they bring in, it's a like-to-like replacement. Now, if you talk about Ross Taylor, he's no more playing Test cricket, and they're trying to fit in Devon Conway in the position of Ross Taylor, which doesn't really work. I reckon Devon Conway should be brought back up the order. They've tried Devon
I
Conway in the
think
middle
once
middle order. Yeah, yeah, go
Yeah, I
ahead.
think once Henry Nichols is fit, I think he'll take back his number five slot. The
Yeah.
form that Mitchell is in, I think he'll be promoted to number four. And I think Devon Conway deserves that opening slot along with Tom Latham. And I think the New Zealand is sorted.
Absolutely. And I reckon in the second test match, they'll be coming pretty strong and they'll be having a lot to think after that big loss in the first test. It would be hurting them quite a bit as well because having the home team 69 for 4 from there on, not going to win the match is just really tough because they just managed to pick up 2 wickets from there on in the last 200 runs, which they were unable to defend when it comes to the end result. But now let's shift focus to the Indian match. India are taking on South Africa in a 5-match T20 series, and it's not looking good for India at this very point, right? Two of the players, Kuldeep Yadav and KL Rahul, ruled out just a day prior to the first match, which will be taking place in Firozshah Kottla Stadium. No, it's no more Firozshah Kottla Stadium. It is Arun Jaitley Stadium in Delhi. So, what do you reckon about that? Because KL Rahul in the last 12 months, he has missed close to 16 international games, and he's had 4 different injuries. You reckon it's been a concerning matter for it? Because we just discussed that in the space with Jones as well, how he as a player has to go through a lot. Even in the IPL, you saw he was not looking very comfortable. He had a couple of hamstring niggles here and there. He went on to play, but now at this very point, he's been given the responsibility of the captaincy as well. In Test cricket, also he captained one odd game. Then he's been captaining one-day matches whenever Rohit Sharma is not fit or whenever Rohit Sharma takes a break. So you reckon it's taking a toll on him, and also his body is not reacting pretty well because he's got a very long list of injuries if you look from 2015.
Yeah, I think he'll be the person that will know his body the best. And I think if he was like we saw that he was struggling in the later half of the IPL, I think it would have been wise of him to take the rest in the IPL itself and make himself available for the international series.
Yeah.
I think that's a bit. I won't be too harsh
But
on
you
him. I
reckon
mean,
nowadays players really do that? Because if you ask me, I'm not putting a question mark on the commitment of players to play international cricket. But if you look at it in IPL, players do play with a, let it be with a broken, not broken actually, a split webbing, a pulled groin or a pulled hamstring. People do try to tape it up and try to finish off the IPL stint in, even if they're half fit, right? But now if
I
you
mean,
look,
who are we to point fingers, right? It's the money that is involved,
yeah,
so they have to fulfill their
it is the
commitments.
money, it's the stake, it is the market value, it's a lot of things. And IPL is that 2 months where everybody gives it their all. If you look,
Yeah.
they play, everybody plays with the passion on the sleeve. You cannot question, you ultimately they're representing a team, they're giving the 100% for the team, because they are professionals at the end of the day, and whichever team you get selected for, you want to give 100% for
And
the
I
team.
think it's a big miss for KL Rahul, especially because a stint as a captain of the Indian national side is a big thing.
At home,
Uh,
yeah. This could have been a breakthrough series, but now if Rishabh Pant goes on to do well, and if India goes on to do well under
yeah.
Rishabh Pant
Because I
against this
think
mighty
going
South
into the
African unit,
series, yeah,
yeah,
I think going into the series, India are the underdogs,
India are
because
the underdog.
especially because South Africa are coming in with a full-fledged team with players like Quinton de Kock, Aiden Markram, David Miller at the best of form. Somebody like a
Vasu
Vander
and the
Descent, we
Dixon,
know how dangerous he can be. There
Rabada,
is
Andre
Anrik Nortje,
Nokia,
Kagiso Rabada, Dwayne
Tabraiz Shamsi.
Pretorius, Tabriz Samshi, and the dark horse can be actually the dark horse can be Keshav Maharaj. We
For
all
me,
have
I
been
think
hyping about. Yeah,
Hendricks, the opener, I reckon he's gonna be one of the dark horses as well, because I reckon he's got it in him to change matches. He's not got a lot of opportunities to play in India, but I reckon last time around when they came in 2019 to India, he played a couple of really good knocks here and there as well. So
yeah.
I'll be putting a keen eye on watching how he goes about his business. Alongside, of course, Aiden Markram has been there and done it quite a few times, especially in IPL and also in international cricket as well. And of course, Temba Bavuma, it's going to be a defining series for him, because there are a lot of question
Definitely.
mark on his strike rate in T20 cricket as well. So interesting. It'll be very interesting to see where he bats in the batting order. Whether he's going to bat number three, or whether it's going to be the same batting order which they followed in the T20 World Cup. But now with David Miller back in form in India, I reckon it's going to be a mouth-watering series, because South Africa looks like a very very strong setup now, and the Indian team, a lot of injuries, a lot of players missing out. Actually, their core group is missing out at this very point. They've got, but when someone misses out, it's an opportunity for someone as well. So Ruturaj
Yeah.
Gaikwad will be definitely starting. He's going to get those 5 games alongside him. I'm sure that even Shreyas Iyer or Deepak Huda also will be getting 5 games. So it's the time for them to
I
prove,
think
isn't it?
you can definitely never count out India with the sort of talent that they have in their squad as
Yeah,
well. The B team, the C team, the D team can upset any teams. Like can beat somebody like a Australia at their peak. If they can beat
yeah,
Australia at their peak in 2020, 2021 with nobody in the squad, they can definitely beat South Africa with the current form that they are in.
yeah,
But
absolutely.
having said that, I think the one place where the number four slot, bringing somebody to number four from opening, has worked is Aiden Markram. I think he was
Right.
not doing too well as an opener for South Africa in the limited overs, as well as in the test format. I think that is where they have understood. I think the franchise, Sunrisers Hyderabad, understood. Even though they had somebody like a Aiden Markram, they stick to Kane Williamson and Abhishek Sharma to
Yeah,
open and gave Aiden Markram the slot at number four. That sort of defined his role. I think that was a very good call on the Sunrisers Hyderabad management side. And again, because South Africa, it will be interesting to see what their batting lineup is. Somebody like a Vander Dussen also loves playing at number four. Then we
yeah.
have David Miller who can come in at number four, number five. That is the so how they use the middle order batters will be interesting to see.
I mean, it's going to be very interesting to see who's going to be the all rounder. If you look at South African teams traditionally, right, they've always had 2 or 3 all rounders in their top six. But right now, if you look, it's more batting dominant. You can say Aiden Markram can chip in with the ball, but he cannot be your number six baller, right? He can always be a six come seventh baller who will chip in with an over here and there, but never your number six baller, because number six baller now in T20 cricket should be a full time baller as well, because that's how important the T20 game has evolved, and how an all-rounder's position in the T20 game has evolved as well. But talking about that, let's talk about Indian team and the lineup which they can possibly put up, right? You have Hardik Pandya who's making his comeback. He's now the vice captain of the Indian team as well. After, of course, his great success in the IPL where he has led Gujarat Titans to their maiden IPL trophy as well. You reckon he's going to be batting at number 5 for India and Dinesh Karthik at number 6?
I think it will be interesting to see. I definitely think Dinesh Karthik deserves a place at number 6 instead of somebody like a Venkatesh Iyer, depending on the current form. I think
Yeah,
the squad will be somebody like Rituraj Gaikwad and Ishan Kishan opening, and then we'll
yeah.
have Shreyas Iyer, Rishabh Pant, Hardik Pandya at number 5, and then there is Dinesh Karthik at number 6, and then followed by Akshay Patel and the bowlers to follow.
Yeah. I mean, possibly another combination they can put out as Deepak Huda at number 3, then Shreyas, or Deepak Huda at number 4, Shreyas at number 3, Rishabh at 5, then at 6, Hardik, 7, Akshar Patel. Because in that case, you
So
have a
you think
seventh
that
bowling
Deepak
option,
Huda will
Deepak
get the
Huda.
call ahead of Dinesh Karthik? I think that is unlikely.
Ideally, he shouldn't. Ideally, Deepak Huda
Yeah.
and Dinesh Karthik have been playing two different roles in IPL. If you look, Deepak Huda has been batting at the top of the order in IPL, and Dinesh Karthik has been doing the tougher job when it comes to finishing. And if you look at finishers in India, and if you look at finishers in this team as well, there are very few players who can guide the team home when it comes to pressure situations. And Dinesh Karthik, being that experienced pro who has been there, done it, seen a lot of situations, maybe IPL, international cricket, he should be there. He should be the fulcrum of the team who should guide the teams to victories more often than not. And for that very reason, I would prefer Dinesh Karthik in my team as well. Because Dinesh Karthik at number 6, just to come out there, turn the course of the game in the 10, 15 balls he faces, and that's going to hold a lot of key. It's going to hold a huge key for India because India has been struggling to find their finishers role in a limited overs format for quite a long time, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And also, if you talk about the squad, if you think about Rituraj Gaikwad, Ishan Kishan, Shreyas Iyer, they are sort of the anchor players. Even though we have seen that they can easily shift their gears as they go along the innings. But I think they are the players that will be looking to play the anchors role. And then there is the explosive power of Rishabh Pant, Hardik Pandya. It will be interesting to see what role Hardik Pandya plays in the batting unit because if he continues to play the role that he did for Gujarat Titans, that is come in at number 4 and sort of hold the innings together. I think it will be interesting to see his approach, and I think it will depend on the
This
team
was a
situation.
squad which was announced earlier on. Let's make few changes. Which means KL Rahul is no more than the squad, and Rishabh Pant is the captain. Then you have the rest of the squad is almost the same, and Kuldeep Yadav is also ruled out. But other than that, you see, let's talk about bowlers as well. We've been talking about batters. Let's talk
Yeah.
about bowlers. You see Harshal Patel getting a nod ahead alongside Bhuvneshwar Kumar and maybe a third seamer, someone like an Umran Malik.
I think Avesh Khan will get the nod ahead of somebody like a Umran Malik. It will be interesting to see whether they give Umran Malik the game or not. I think Harshal Patel and Bhuvneshwar Kumar are likely to play most of the 5 games. And I think the third seamer will be where they will experiment with somebody like Avesh Khan or Arshdeep Singh or Umran Malik. And for the spin, I think there is Akshar Patel and Yuzvendra Chahal. And I
Yeah,
don't think they can try Ravi Vishnu in one or two of the games. And I won't be surprised if Venkatesh Iyer also gets one or two of the games. I know he did not have the best of IPL seasons, but same is the case with Ishan Kishan and Rituraj
yeah,
Gaikwad. So he can potentially be that reserve opener for them and come in and open the innings for India as well. But more likely than not, he is going to come in at number 6 if he
right.
gets to play that game. And I think he'll get 1 or 2 games in the 5 match series.
I
So
mean,
there are going to be lots of permutations, combinations going on, and they are going to experiment a lot.
If you look at Rahul Dravid in the press conference prior to the game, he made a very big statement, I would say. He mentioned about Dinesh Karthik's role clarity, and he was very confident. He was very precise in saying that, we have defined the role for Dinesh Karthik, which is kind of a hint that he'll be starting every game, isn't it? Usually, when it comes to role clarity, you don't say it to a player who's gonna not possibly start it. You always say to a player who is going to be a sure starter in your team. Now with Dinesh Karthik, the kind of form he's in, the kind of experience he brings in, and also now with the kind of lack of experience with this team carries, I reckon Dinesh Karthik will be a sure starter, isn't it?
Yeah, and also I think Dinesh Karthik has every right and definitely deserves a place in all the games. I think because he has proved it. He has worked really hard in the last 3 4 years. He had a good season in 2017-18 IPL, but then in the 19-20-21 IPL, he did his job, but he was not very good. In the 2021 and 2020 IPL, he clearly struggled, both with captaincy and both as well as with the bat. So I think this is a very good scope for him, and I think Dinesh Karthik will pounce on this opportunity, and it will be very good to see somebody like a Dinesh Karthik do well for Indian team, because he
I
has
mean,
done it for Team India in the past as well.
I mean, these are the kind of players you genuinely feel happy for the very
Yeah,
reason that their hard work pays off. And I don't know what comeback it is, because he always makes a comeback. It is comeback number 10, comeback number 10.0, 15.0. But every time you look 2 years down the line, 3 years down the line, Dinesh Karthik always finds a way to come back and always breaks the door open. That's exactly what he's done this time around as well. But let's talk about bowling, because that's the most exciting part of Indian team at this very point, and we've been blessed with a lot of fast bowlers. Do you reckon Arshdeep Singh, who did a very good job in IPL, especially when it comes to bowling the death overs, bowling those tough overs in the middle phases as well, should he be getting a nod ahead? Because we have 5 matches, 5 T20s in 5 different cities. And if you're able to seal the series, I know it's going to be very tough to say that we're going to seal the series, because the South African team is a very good side. Because usually when any team comes to India, we predict the scoreline way before the series starts itself, because that's how it has been. But let me bring you an interesting stat, because I don't often bring stats against you, but it's our first time I get to bring it. South Africa is the only team in India who, South Africa is the only team who has come to India not lost a series since 2011. And
yeah,
I'm talking about white ball series, and they've defeated us in 2015. In 2019, the T20 series, they drew the series. So they've been having a very good record, especially in the white ball format against India in India. So which means they start as clear cut favorites, isn't it?
yeah, and definitely. And if you talk about the squad balance, the recent form, I think all of these things indicate that South Africa are the stronger of the two teams. Like, they are the favorites starting the series. But I won't be surprised if India can turn it around and get a clear 4-1 or 5-0 result as well. And but
Wow.
I even if that looks way off right now, but I definitely feel that India will not be concerned about what the result is, even if
Yeah.
they lose the series 4-1 or 5 not. I don't think that will cause, obviously they'll be disheartened, but
Yeah.
definitely what they are actually looking for are their squad, the bench strength for the
Right.
T20 World Cup. That is what they
Right.
are going to look at. They are going to give the opportunities to all the players. I think Arshdeep will get a game, one or more games. Avesh Khan will get one or more
Umran
games.
Malik, you reckon will get a game?
Yeah, I think all the three bowlers, Umran Malik, Avesh Khan, and Arshdeep, all of them will get at least one game. And I think India has the luxury to sort of afford making those experiments, bringing on those experiments, because anyway they don't have the best, like, they don't have their top 11 playing. So
Yeah.
they might as well try their bench strength, and that this will
You know,
help them in
this
forming a
reminds
team.
me so much of the India A squad in 2019-20, and they've all graduated pretty well into the national setup under the same coach as well. So
Yeah,
it just gives me that same excitement to watch a bilateral series after a very long time. Because usually when it comes to bilateral series in India, you are not that excited, because you often know what is going to be the end result. In the recent past, India have been very very clinical when it comes to. I don't think we have lost a game since T20 World Cup. We've been on an unbeaten streak since T20 World Cup as well. So
yeah,
you definitely know the series and the result. But this time around, we are the underdogs. We have a new captain, Rishabh Pant, who I've always been excited about. He's going to be having a different challenge. We've given him enough flack about his captaincy and tactical calls. Last week we had Sriram Somajula sir joining us on the podcast, and he made a very bold statement that he'll be one of the captains to win World Cups for India. So this will be his quest to be one of the permanent captains of India, because the eyes will be on him. So you never know. After 2 years, once Rohit Sharma hands over the captaincy, once you look beyond Rohit Sharma, you would want a captain who is having that calm head on the shoulder, who's got a very good record, who knows how to lead men. Whatever I've seen of Rishabh Pant, he's a player who gives a lot of confidence to his bowlers.
Yeah.
The prime example is Kuldeep Yadav's resurgence in form, isn't it? Because he has found something in Kuldeep Yadav. He's been very communicative about how Kuldeep Yadav should be bowling, after every over, whenever he gets hit, he runs to him. He says what are the lengths he should be bowling as well. So there's something about Rishabh Pant, the captain. I know this season it was very unfortunate. The team also went through a lot of turmoil when it comes to COVID and a lot of other factors. That's why we've been judging him as an IPL captain. But I think there's something about him. There's a Midas touch about him as well. That's why I'm very keen to watch this series. I'm very excited to watch this series, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think not just to Kuldeep Yadav, I think he has given a lot of confidence to somebody like a Khalil Ahmed, who
Yeah.
has had a spectacular IPL if you consider his performance to the past years. And I think the confidence that Rishabh Pant has shown on him to come in, bowl at the top, and also bowl at the death overs, because they clearly Shardul Thakur was not at his best this time around, this season around. So they had to find that. Like the bowler that can bowl the death overs, because Enric Nortje was not fit. Mustafizur
Yeah.
Rahman was doing a decent job, and they put all their faith on somebody like Khalil Ahmed and Chetan Sakaria. All of these talents, I think Rishabh Pant has shown a lot of faith on them. And I think we have been critical about him. That's because of the decisions that he has made.
I mean,
Sometimes he has just, yeah,
yeah. I mean,
thought out
what's
of the
very
box and
funny
it
is
has not
that
worked.
Rishabh Pant's place is actually under a lot of scanner because of the very fact that Dinesh Karthik had a terrific season in the IPL. And if you look at Rishabh Pant's T20 record, it's just very bad because he's just got a strike rate of close to 120 and his average is just in the lower 20s as well.
20.
So at that point of stage, just getting the captaincy, it could be a little overburdening on him, but I am very keen to see how he'll progress as a player and also as a captain through the course of the series because this could be a defining series for him in terms of his career as well. Leading your country for the first time ever. And if you go on to do well in this series, it will give him a lot of confidence, especially when it comes to all the formats. And when also the World Cup is beckoning and the World Cup is just a few months around the corner because now
Yeah.
the countdown for the World Cup officially begins from tomorrow's match as well. Um, Anything to take away, anything to talk about before we go on to the Sri
Yeah,
Lankan
I
South
think
Africa,
talking
Sri Lankan
about
Australia
Rishabh
series?
Pant's captaincy, I think the burden being on him, I think there is no pressure. He has
Yeah,
nothing to lose in this series because
yeah.
anyway, India are not the favorites heading on to the. They are not the pre series favorites, which we have seen. India has dominated all the other teams
We
in the
often say
recent past.
that, but if Rishabh Pant has a very bad series as a captain and a player, then the scanner is on him yet again. So there'll be
Yeah,
that
but
kind of
then
a
again,
pressure
he does
also,
not have
right?
any pressure on him in the sense that he knows that he's not their number one choice when Rohit Sharma decides to call it quits, and I don't
Yeah.
think that is going to be anytime soon because I think Rohit Sharma will go on to play. I think around 2023, 2024. I think after we'll see how he goes about in the next World Cup, and then I think he'll
Yeah.
make a call about whether he wants to continue or what he wants to do with his captaincy and his position in the team. I think even after he calls it quits, there is KL Rahul in the picking order ahead of
Yeah.
Rishabh Pant. So I think there is nothing to be burdened about. I think it's just a series where he'll just tell all his players, just go express yourselves. If we get the result on our side, it's well and good. If we don't, we are learning something. We have a very new team. We are anyway gaining a lot of experience and we are defining our slots for the T20 World Cup. So it's
I
fine
mean,
for me.
another interesting point which comes to my mind is Ishan Kishan was the captain of Rishabh Pant when he played the Under 19 World Cup. And tomorrow, Ishan Kishan will be playing under Rishabh Pant as an Indian player. And Ishan Kishan is not going
And the
through the best
IPL
of
winning
form as
captain
well.
will be also playing under Rishabh Pant tomorrow as a
Yeah,
vice
I mean,
captain.
Shreyas Iyer is there. Then you have,
Yeah,
who else? Yeah. I mean, Shreyas Bhuvneshwar Kumar, you can say is a senior pro as well.
Dinesh
But
Karthik
yeah,
is a
Dinesh
ex-captain
Karthik
if
is
he
also
gets to
there.
play. Yeah.
Yeah, Dinesh Karthik is another IPL captain who did really well. He's captain for Tamil Nadu as well. So it's going to be very interesting to see how Rishabh Pant carries this team because it's got different characters, players in different times of their career who wants to make a mark, especially Ishan Kishan, who's trying to find a feet and who's also trying to find a form. So it's going to be interesting to see what Rishabh Pant will go and tell to Ishan Kishan, the player, because Ishan Kishan, you want to unleash him as a player. You don't want to keep him locked. He's just had a strike rate of 120 in IPL. Though he scored 430 odd runs, but having 120 striker from Ishan Kishan, that's the least you expect out of him because that means he has not had any impact, right?
especially because he started the season with two brilliant knocks. In fact, three brilliant knocks. I think he averaged around 70 after the first three games, with a strike rate of close to 140, 145. He was
Yeah,
just coming at it, pacing his innings really well. Right after that, I think he just took a lot of pressure on himself because Mumbai
yeah,
Indians were not winning, even though he was
yeah,
performing in the first three games, and Rohit Sharma was not going along in the first few games. So I think
right.
he just took a lot of pressure on himself, and he was just not getting going. And we have also seen Ishan Kishan do that for Team India as well. In the series right before, in the series against Sri Lanka, I guess he started off really slowly in the two games that he played, the T20s that he
Right,
played, and
right.
all was speculating that why Rituraj Gaikwad was not getting a game.
Absolutely. I mean, tomorrow it's going to be a very important game for all these players we mentioned because, it's always going to be important to set the series on a winning note because that sets the tempo for the five-match series. Because if you lose tomorrow, all of a sudden there are going to be a lot of doubts which will creep into this young setup. And Rahul Dravid is a very good man manager and he's mismanaged these people for a very long period of time. Dinesh Karthik and Rahul Dravid have played together for a very long period of Rahul Dravid has captain Dinesh Karthik. So that that chemistry has always been there. When it comes to other players, I'm sure Rahul Dravid has coached them through the course of the India A journey as well. So he'll be knowing every player because from under 19 days he's been seeing all these players as well. So these players will feel at home under the new setup, new Indian management, of course. But other than that, let's talk about Sri Lanka versus South Africa series. Sri Lanka versus Australia series as well, which is taking place in Sri Lanka at this very point. Australia 2-0 up in the series. Today's game was a very tricky one for Australia because they were 7 down, chasing
Yeah.
that mere score of 126. But today, yet again, they've gone on to win it. But yesterday's game was a clear decimation from Australia. What do you make of the series? Because Sri Lanka, when it comes to their batting, has been really disappointing, isn't it?
Yeah, I think Rajapaksha showed a lot of promise in this season of IPL. They had somebody like a Nisanka, Asalanka, who were coming good for them in the series against Australia, where they played in Australia. I think
Right.
Asalanka and Nisanka both had a decent series over there as well. And somebody like
Yeah.
the Danushka Gunatilaka, he has had a lot of opportunities right now in
Hmm.
the T20 format, and he has not been doing anything. I think he averages something close to 18.
Yeah.
Uh, and also there are some of the interesting matchups which seem to have worked, because we
Yeah.
we saw that Josh Hazelwood has got the better of
Kushal
Gunatilaka
Mehta.
in one of the games, and also Hasaranga got the better of Aaron Finch in today's game. I think today also Australia would have completely decimated Sri Lanka if David Warner wouldn't have got run out. I think
Yeah.
his run out, his dismissal changed the course of the game, because again Australia started off aggressively. The openers
Yeah.
were going off really well. At one point, it seemed it was going to be a repeat for performance, just like
Yeah.
yesterday.
Yeah.
But then again, they have some of the positives that they can take. Sri Lanka's somebody like I think the
Varandu
Sri Lanka
Hasaranga is
team.
definitely a good positive for them. Because Varandu Hasaranga, I see him
Yeah,
as
Hasaranga
the X
had a
factor
off day,
player.
had a rare off day in the first game. He picked up 4 wickets in today's game.
Yeah.
He has a brilliant record
But if you
against
look at
Australia.
Sri Lanka, the bowling is not going to be a concern for them at this very point because they have a Tikshana, they have a Hasaranga. Soon, I believe they're going to bring in what is the player? Who was the player who played for Chennai Super Kings?
Pathirana.
Patirana. I reckon he's also going to be on the wings of making a Sri
And I
Lankan
think they have
debut
Chamira
very
on
soon as
form,
well.
and there is somebody like a
They have a
Chamika
Chamira as
Karunaratne
well.
who is a very underrated bowler.
Yeah, they have
Karunaratne is a
these
very
bowling
underrated bowler.
options. But when it comes to the batting option, they've not just been firing, isn't it? Because
And
Rajapaksa
I
is a
think this
player
has
who's
been
got
a case for
tremendous
them
promise.
for, yeah, I think this has been a case for them for many years now. And they have stuck to somebody like a
I think we've just lost him there. Sandipani, I think we've lost you there when it comes to your connection. I mean, well, I reckon,
Yeah.
I reckon we just lost you for a brief period of time. Some random
Yeah, sorry. I
internet.
was just saying that Sri Lanka, the batting has been a concern for them right since the 2015 World Cup or the
Yeah,
2017 Champions Trophy. They had one good game against India in the 2017 Champions Trophy where they
yeah,
managed to chase down some 300 odd runs.
yeah.
And I think after that, the only promising player that has consistently performed, the old player who has continued to play for them over the years, has been Kushal Perera, and
I
he is
mean,
not playing this
if you
series.
talk about Kushal Perera, the batter, he has come good in patches. He's never come good in a consistent basis where he's had that one season where he has done wonders for Sri Lankan cricket. He's come good in one game, then he goes out of form for the next 6 7 games, then he comes good again with 30 40. But he is not going to play those big knocks as well. You all know the potential this guy has got. You all know what he can bring into the table. Everybody has compared him with the great Sanat Jayasuriya because of his aggression, because of the shots he's got, because of the range he's got, and because of the ability to take on the pacers as well. But right now, if you look at Sri Lankan cricket, some players really did show a lot of promise, especially when it comes to Vishwa Fernando, a player who everybody believed to go on to do go on to play for Sri Lanka for a very long period of time and go on to do well on a consistent basis, has not really turned up. Kushal Mendes is another player, another clear
Yeah.
example. Everybody compared him with Mahela Jayawardene when it comes to his technique and the
Yeah.
kind of flair and the grace he's got while playing. But he also has never shown that. He's never shown on to go on to convert that promise which he had to that consistent performances as well. You reckon is it the system which is now currently affected, because Sri Lankan cricket is all about school cricket, right? They do not have state cricket like what we have in India, Australia, England. They don't have a county championship. All the breeding ground of cricket for Sri Lankan cricket is the school cricket. The You look at all the great players like Sangakkara, the Mahelas, Ranatungas, all have come through school cricket, and now all of a sudden I feel school cricket is not delivering that consistent bunch of players, especially when it comes to batting department, isn't it?
Yeah, it is very difficult if you ask somebody from the school cricket to produce somebody like a Muthaya Muralidharan, Kumar Sangakkara, Sanat Jayasuriya, Mahila Jayawardene. It is not at all easy, and I think the foundation that they have been laying has been good because they have been showing a lot of faith on the players that they back. Somebody like a
Yeah,
Kushal Mendes, somebody like a Danushka Gunatilaka, Gunatilaka has played 37 games. I was just checking his stats. He averages only 18 and strike rate is
yeah,
around 120. For somebody
it's very
opening
poor.
the innings for Sri Lanka, playing for 38 matches, this is something which is not acceptable. And I think this is at a point where they have to look beyond. It's not that they don't have players, they have to try some like some other new options. They have tried somebody like a Nishanka who has done well for them. There is
I think
Rajapaksha.
Asalanka is a very good option. I still think he's got a lot to offer. I know in this brief
Yeah.
period he took a retirement and he's back again in international cricket. But I reckon he's a player for the future as well. He's got good 6 7 years of cricket left in him, because the way in which he plays, he is such a calm head and he's got that range as well when it comes to shot making. And he looks to take on the ball. He's a very fearless character. That's the kind of characters you want in Sri Lankan cricket at this very point. Gunnar Tilaka has been a sheer disappointment. I don't really remember any of his best innings. I don't think he's ever played a
He
best.
does not
He's
have
ever
one. I
played a
mean,
good
he
knock.
averages just 18 after 30, 37, 38 games with a
I
high score
think
of
high
57.
time they try something like a Rajapaksha at the top of the order. Just make him bad at
Yeah, and
that at
also I
number
think
one, number
if
two.
you talk about the all-rounders, they have had somebody like Angelo Matthews, Thishara Pereira over the years, and I
Yeah,
think Dasun Shanaka is not replicating what they have done for the team. I know Thisara Pereira has been really expensive with the ball for
yeah,
Sri Lanka over the years, and he has been inconsistent with the bat. But same is the case with somebody like a Dasun Sanaka. You
yeah.
expect your captain to lead from the front, and I think
But
that
even
is where
Darshan
they are
Chanaka
losing.
had this really good series against India when they toured in India earlier this year, and he went out to play some really good knocks as well. I wouldn't blame Darshan Chanaka, the player, at this very point. He's also trying to be part of the rebuild, helping the team, carrying the team forward. But I am really
But I
baffled
think
by
there
the
has
batting
been a
order they're
lot of
using at this very
issue,
point.
controversies going around with the board, with the Sri
Yeah.
Lankan cricket board. The
I mean,
players are
Sri
not
Lankan
happy.
board, the Sri Lankan, the country, everything is under turmoil at this very point with the
Yeah.
economic situation, the crisis. The players are not getting their wage demands met as well. So, at this very point, Sri Lankan cricket, we have been saying they're under transition, but they're under transition for a way too long a period of time, and that's also proportionate reason to what has been happening back at home in Sri Lanka when it comes to them not being able to pay their players, and their country also struggling quite a bit, and also the school cricket system which has been affected adversely because of the lack of talent, because of the lack of investment which is going into it as well. But I reckon at this very point in T20 cricket they still have got the talent, they've got the ballers, at
Yeah.
least they've got
And
the
also, if you talk
Tikshanas.
about today's game, I think they did exceedingly well. They were almost on the verge of defending 124. Or
Yes,
Australia were 99 for 7 at one point,
yeah.
and then they sort of stabilized, and Matthew Wade sort of got the team through. And I think Kane Richardson. But I
I
think
mean,
the
yeah,
main Problem for them
Mm.
has been the way they have been facing the Aussie Pacers.
Pacers.
Mitchell Stark and Josh Hazelwood picked up 7 wickets in the first game. Combined, the both of them picked up 7 wickets in the last game. In today's game, I think both the Jai Richardson and Kane Richardson picked up 7 wickets combined. I think they
Yeah,
have just not been able to accelerate at the right point. I think after losing 2 quick wickets, they sort of stabilized their innings in the middle, but they did not
yeah,
get any momentum at the back end. and
yeah,
and it was a low scoring game, but I think they fought well, and I will be really happy to see them getting 1 or 2 wins to make the contest a bit even. And
yeah.
having said that, I think Aaron Finch got too good. Today's innings was not good, but he got a start. He got a 24-run knock today, and yesterday's knock was a very good knock for Aaron Finch. I think it will do a whole lot of a good for his confidence, because I think
I mean, of
coming
course, yeah,
into this series, Aaron Finch's form was a big concern.
yeah.
He had done nothing special in the Big Bash League, nothing special in the IPL. So I think he is due a big score for Australia in the near future.
I mean, of course, with the World Cup at home, they would want to defend the crown as well. Let's not forget they are the current world champions in T20 cricket when they lifted that crown against New Zealand in Dubai. So they would really want to go on to win the game at they want to win the championship at home as well, because it is a huge opportunity for them with the kind of squad they've got, with the kind of ballers who they've got, especially Josh Hazelwood, Mitchell Stark, Jai Richardson, Kane Richardson, Adam Zampa. I reckon they've got a very good unit, isn't there, to go out there and defend the championship at home.
Yeah, definitely. Especially because they are playing at home, they will know the conditions well, and also with all the Big Bash experience. Because Australia, England, India, these are some of the teams they consistently have this county championship going on throughout the year, and there are continuous matches, T20 competitions. Some 50 over competitions, domestic cricket going on throughout the year. So all the players will be well accustomed. I think it will be interesting to see uh, the pacer unit that they go along for the
Yeah,
World Cup, because as you mentioned, their bench strength also looks very strong. Somebody like a
yeah.
Kane Richardson, Jai Richardson sitting on the bench. Then there is Berendorf. Berendorf also had a good season, and there is a lot of promise. If you talk about the Big Bash League, I think there has been a lot of promise
They have a
from
Riley
somebody like
Meredith as well. Let's not forget that.
Riley Meredith. There is Agar. I think the
Yeah,
pacer Agar. He has done a
yeah,
brilliant job for Adelaide Strikers in the Big Bash League.
yeah.
So I think
And
all
Ben
in all,
McDermott has been doing a very good job in batting department. He's
yeah, with
had
the
a
batting, I
very
think
good
if they're playing at home, I
T20
think
blast as well.
McDermott got to play in the series against Sri Lanka. He had a brilliant BBL. He has been having a good domestic circuit. He has been doing
He's been
well in
having a very
the
good T20 blast in
Vitality
England
as
as
well.
well.
Yeah,
Yeah, Vitality
yeah,
blast as
definitely.
well. But I reckon one player who can still make the cut is Tim David. We've been talking about him way too long in the Boomer life since the start of IPL. I reckon he can make a direct switch in for Steven Smith, because Steven Smith's position is still a position which is highly concerning for Australian cricket, because him batting at number 5 in that squad is not just fitting right, isn't it? Because he's not offering anything much for you. He's not going to be a player who's going to come in and strike the ball at 150, 160. He's
See,
going
I
to take
think
his time, and
like
that's definitely going to
team.
reduce the tempo as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think Australia have to take a bold call, like somebody like a team England. I think they dropped Joe Root from the T20 side. Joe Root decided not to play T20. I think that is what something Steven Smith is expected to do. He is one of, if not the best, he's one of the best players in the Test format right now. Test cricket format right now, and I think he should continue. He should focus on that field, because he has a lot to offer to the team. He has, I think, another
Yeah,
3, 4, 5, 6 years of cricket left in him. If he just
yeah,
continues to focus on the Test side, if
yeah,
he tries to focus even in the one day, I think even in one day Steven Smith is a very good player, because
yeah.
all these players, they know how to rotate the strike, they get the scoreboard ticking.
I mean,
But
I'll be an interesting debate over here, because if you look at T20 cricket in 2016, 2017 to what is T20 cricket in 2022, you cannot afford to have players who strike the ball at 120, 130. You're talking about traditional batters who play test cricket, one day cricket, because you say you need an anchor in your team, but you don't really need an anchor in T20 cricket, because T20 cricket has evolved in such a way that if you have an anchor, it's a burden on the team. In T20 cricket, you are supposed to bat with a strike rate of 130, 140, 150 at least, and scored maybe 20, 25 runs. That's what T20 cricket demands. Because people
but it
make,
depends
people
on the
blame
team that
Sanju
you are
Samson.
talking about, right?
Yeah,
It
sorry.
depends on the team you're talking about, because
I'm
if you're
talking about
talking
any
about
team in the
West
world.
Indies, If you're
I'm
talking
talking about,
about West Indies, they
yeah.
definitely need an anchor because they have all these explosive batters and there is no one to hold the fort.
I mean, I don't think West Indies needs an anchor, but if West Indies comes off, right, their West Indies' biggest issue is that they do not know how to play quality spin. And that's one of the major reasons why they failed in the T20 World Cup in UAE, which was held last year as well. But other than that, if you look at West Indies, whenever they were successful, they've had the same kind of batters. You can say Marlon Samuels was their anchor,
They
was their
had
link
a
going
somebody
in.
like a Marlon Samuels, and also they had somebody like Lendl Simmons who could play throughout the innings. And
Yeah,
I think somebody like a Shea Hope should get the opportunity because he has been very good for them. I know strike rate is a huge concern for
yeah.
Hope, but I think he'll be a good fit in the West Indies lineup.
But in
Having
Australian
said
team,
that,
we
I
already
think
have a
if
David
Steven
Warner
Smith, yeah,
who can
I
do
think if
that job,
Steven
who
Smith
can
gets,
bat through the innings.
yeah, sorry,
I'm saying that in Australian team, you already have a player like a David Warner, right, who can bat through
yeah,
the innings.
the advantage for teams like Australia and England is they have somebody like a Josh Butler, Johnny Bairstow, David Warner, Adam Finch, that if they get going, they can give you that anchor's role at a strike rate of 140, 150. That is
Yeah,
an added advantage that you're talking about. But I definitely feel that your number three or one of your top three should know how to hold the innings, because there will be situations like today, because Matthew Wade today, I think he did not need to play the role of a finisher. He needed to play the role of a finisher, but a completely different role. He needed to play, guide the team through. Like they had
yeah,
8 overs to score 25 odd runs with only three
right.
wickets in hand. I think that is somewhere the importance of a anchor plays. Like the import, we really talk about like what is the importance of an anchor, and I think what has been going really against Steven Smith is his current form in the
Yeah,
T20 format. Not just that he's scoring runs at a slow rate, he's not
yeah,
getting those runs in the T20 format.
right.
The only opponent that he has been scoring consistently against is against India and England. I think Steven Smith just loves playing against India and England. Barring those
Yeah.
two teams, I don't think he has had the best of seasons, even in the test format.
Absolutely, you're absolutely right. In terms of his form, it's a bit concerning. It's the same case with Virat Kohli as well. You've been putting them at the same paradigm for a way too long a period of time, and at this very point, both are facing a dip in their form when it comes to their all formats record as well. Because these two batters used to wake up from the sleep and score hundreds for fun when it comes to Test cricket or when it comes to any form of cricket. Wherever they used to go, they used to score runs at a very brisk rate. But at this very point in their career, they both are facing certain bit of issues when it comes to scoring, their scoring rate, their strike rate, and also when it comes to scoring at that particular rate where they usually have set their standard or bar at. Having
Yeah.
said that, it was a great chatter with you, Sandipani, because we've been able to cover all the three series which is happening in international cricket. Of course, we would love to have covered a little bit of Ranji Trophy as well, but we'll cover it because we have a lot to talk about once all the quarterfinal games is done. We'll be
Yeah.
talking about the semi-final list of Ranji Trophy as well, because Sarfraz Khan has been smoking runs since Ranji Trophy were absolute fun. We've always had good time chatting with him in Boom 11
And
as
also,
well.
Bengal have been smoking runs for fun against
Yeah.
Jharkhand.
Yeah, I think it's Jharkhand is facing wrath of their own karma because they against Nagaland scored 800 runs and they did not declare. And right now they have been able to taste their own medicine now against Bengal as well. I,
Yeah.
I reckon all the nine players scored 50 plus runs or seven players scored 60
Yeah, all
50
the
plus runs.
top. I think barring no, I think all of them scored over 50.
Or over 50 plus runs. And one of the players went on to score 160 as well. So Bengal has been having a good time in the Ranji Trophy as well. Let's see who's going to be the lineup for the semi-final. UP defeated Karnataka for the first ever time in Ranji
Yeah.
Trophy history as
That
well.
is an
So
upset.
yeah, it's a massive, massive upset. You saw Manish Pandey keeping as well today. So a lot of things has been happening in Karnataka team. So yeah, a lot of cricket been happening around the world. So we'll be trying to cover most of it. And tomorrow we'll be joining you right after the game. And also follow us on our Instagram page for all the latest sporting updates. And also subscribe to our YouTube channel right now so that you can stay tuned with us for all the live what we do and whatever videos we post. And also click on the bell icon so you don't miss out on the videos what we provide, and also follow us on Twitter because that's where we'll be doing spacer with Jones and Sandibani for previewing all the games, and also play our fantasy contest with Boom 11. There's some exciting prizes waiting for you because this South Africa India series is going to be all about excitement and a lot of cricket action and a lot of football action across the world is also happening. So enjoy all the sporting action with Boom 11, and good night and have a good time all of you.
Yeah, have a good night. Always a pleasure.